like, this had a stranglehold on my life for a full 3 years and never got an album. And Kyle goes, is one of the biggest what ifs in hip hop. And I was like, huh. Because me and him we've been talking about for years, like, yo, what if we can collaboratively do to do a podcast together that won't be corny and it's just like, we're just going to do it just for the sake of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but what about a hip hop what ifs? So this whole show is basically based off what if scenarios. What if this happened? What if this? What if this? And our first episode is what if Jay Electronica dropped his album and he's supposed to have been dropped from Exhibit C. So 12 Kyle, let everybody know who you are and everything. Know as we introduce everybody to Hip Hop What Ifs.
No doubt, no doubt. First of all, brother, always good to be on here with you, man. Definitely appreciate it. We go back like
we had like 15 years now.
Yeah, we go back like fat shoestrings, man. I mean, we go way back, man. Obviously, my name is 12 Kyle. I have a podcast called the 12 Kyle Podcast. This calendar year actually going to hit will be my 10th year of podcasting. Before that, I had
the other show too, though. What's the other?
The 12 radio show. I had an internet radio show.
Well, I mean, the hip hop show you have, the other podcast.
And the Rap Soul podcast. It's a new venture I have as well. So a couple of podcasts, but just to let you know, I've been in it for a while. Yeah. And my podcast, the 12 Kyle podcast, drops weekly on every Thursday. All streaming platforms, wherever you listen, you can get podcasts as well as YouTube. Same for the Rap Soul. Rap Soul podcast drops every Monday at midnight. So content everywhere. You can follow me on the socials at 12 Kyle. But enough about that. Well, let's get to it.
Yeah. So there, let's start the beginning. So Jay Electronica, who we're talking about, when did you first get introduced to Jay Electronica?
That's a good question. I think I started hearing some things about, because I think right around the time Jay Electronica started buzzing, early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. I would say more mid
to 2000, somewhere around there. At that particular time, I was heavy into mixtapes, and I remember definitely Dat Piff. Shout out to Dat Piff. And I remember one of my boys telling me about him. I hadn't heard him yet, but he's like, "Yo, man, this kid Jay Electronica, da 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 da." And I was like, I remember the name, but I hadn't heard him, and I didn't know where he was from, because like that. Normally, when somebody tells me like, okay, hey, we know this hot MC, blah, blah, blah. My first question is, well, okay, well, where are they from? And he's like, I don't know where he's from. He's like, I think he's from New York. I was like, okay, now you're telling me about another hot New York City rapper. Okay, let's see. And I think maybe a couple more months went by, and I remember probably the first time I heard him was Exhibit C. That was the first time I heard him. I had heard of him, but I didn't
hear Exhibit A and Exhibit B before.
I had to go back to those.
So I'm going to tell you a crazy story. So he was on tour with Nas on the Untitled Nigga tour.
Okay.
And I saw him, and he had the shillelagh from the New Orleans shillelagh, like that what is it? That like you're the marching band drum major thing. Okay. And he was like rapping. Okay. He was doing Exhibit A and B. Wow. C hadn't come out yet.
Wow.
So this is late 08, early 09 when this tour, I went this tour. And I was like, because it was him, Common, and then Nas was the last one on this date. And I was like, I mean, and he was like, yeah, I'm from New Orleans, blah, blah, blah. And literally no one is trying to pay attention to him. He's literally the opener before Common. Right. That's before Nas.
Right.
And I was like, dude, okay, what is this? Okay, and it was the original one with the dude talking up with the kind of like the original before C, the one that was the Exhibit A. And it was like, I was like, okay, this is cool. So people start vibing a little bit, but it was still like not there like that. And I remember when Exhibit C dropped, I was like, oh, that's dude from the Nas show.
Yep.
Oh my God. And this is an amazing song.
Man,
amazing song.
That song, when I say it was the hottest thing on the streets.
Like it's so amazing, everybody that's knows. It should have won a Grammy. Not like seriously.
Yeah.
For that year. For best song.
Yeah.
That's how like entrenched for the. I'm looking up the Grammys. Grammy 2009. I had it pulled up here though.
And what was it? While you looked that up, what was interesting? Like I remember, and I don't know. I'm sure you did, but I didn't do MySpace back then. But everybody that I knew,
man.
What'd you say?
I was a MySpace kid, man. That's right in the middle of my. That's right in the middle of my. You know, what I'm saying days, man.
Everybody. So that was actually the classy day.
That was that was like right before. So like it'd be. Because we're basically the same generation, but it was like you had just missed that small sliver of a cutoff right there, and I slid right in. I was like right there. I was almost too old to be on MySpace, but like almost right there.
It wasn't even about age. I just never got into it. But like when I would go to people's pages, Exhibit C was one of the songs that was always playing on just about everybody's page, even if they didn't have anything to do with Jay Electronica or if they knew him or knew about it. The song was just like you couldn't get away from it. It was everywhere, but probably the radio. Not the radio was probably the one place that wasn't.
Radio never played it.
But it was crazy. If you were in the streets or you was running out, if you was outside in like 2007, 2008, Exhibit C was the shit.
It was just something different, man. Like that. Y'all don't I mean, those that weren't there though, and obviously you clicked on this so you understand and know who he is.
Right
now, let's get into the kind of the history of Jay Electronica. Jay Electronica started a bidding war with this, and then Rock Nation ended up signing. But there was one other person that was involved in close to signing them.
Puff.
There you go.
Yeah, man, Puff. Jay Electronica started, like you said, it was a bidding war for people trying to get him. This was back in the day when getting signed was a thing. You know, I know now, you know, with everybody being independent and not being signed to record labels or whatever like that. But again, we're talking 2007. So we're talking late 2000s. And it was very important to get signed. And labels were really, really into collecting talent. Now, keep in mind, from a historical standpoint, there's no Pop. There's no Biggie. They're gone, right? So now you have this new wave of MCs, and then these labels are really trying to form I guess this is the best way I can put it. With the fall of Death Row, with the fall of Bad Boy, these labels are trying to put together conglomerates that can now take over. So you had Rough Riders over here. You had Rockefeller over here. You had Cash Money down south. So everybody was trying to kind of get together. And because, you know, with the fall of two of the biggest labels with two of the biggest artists in the world, there was now a lane. So, you know, and I guess that's the best way I can put it. There was now a lane. And so for Puff to really, really get Bad Boy back to where he wanted them to be. Now, of course, there's nobody that's going to replace Biggie, right? But if you're Puff, why not get a Jay Electronica? You know what I'm saying? You got to, because at this point, you know, all you have, Mace was still there, I think. Yeah.
This is 08, 09.
Was Mace gone? Was he in church?
Back, he was back gone again.
Okay.
At that point.
Was he in church by then?
08, 09, he's got French Montana, I'm assuming around that time.
So he's struggling.
yeah. I mean, I'm talking about for hip hop credit.
Yeah, hip hop. Yeah.
Like where you like, I don't have a lyricist on my label.
Exactly.
I got some fun songs. Maybe
you still got the R&B side, but your powerhouse. Yeah.
2005 is probably the last. 2004, 2005 is the last like bonafide bad boy outside of Puffy pushing his product.
That's
with the Last Train to Paris and
that's it.
Dirty Monies and all those push. But where another artist shined is probably 05, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Frenchie too. Frenchie.
You just said Shine was Shine was gone too.
Shine is old. Oh, dude, I saw Shine in his last performance. That is 01.
Oh yeah, because Shine was in jail by then.
Yeah, that's what I saw Shine in his last performance. Shout out to Northern Illinois University. I was there for his last show. It was him and Twist.
Wow.
It was him and Twist on the same bill.
That's crazy. So I just wanted to paint that picture, folks. So no, he at this point, it makes sense for Puff and everybody else to go after Jay Electronica, who is the hottest rapper on the street, but Puff couldn't sign him.
So what do you? Puff couldn't sign. I wonder, and that's a question. I guess I would love to have this question for Jay Electronica. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you sign on Puff? You know, I would love to be outside of a vacuum of what's going on, the drama with Diddy right now, or Puff right now, because it's easy to be like, oh, well, you obviously you see what happened here. I'm talking. I wish it was an interview or a talk about that was a year.
Before all this stuff happened. Yeah,
before all that, because it's easy to scapegoat it, and it could have been like. Oh, well, Rock Nation ended up giving me an extra $100,000. And that could be the case.
Could be the difference. And I mean, like there was a virtual bidding war, you know, for this guy, and rightfully so. And again, he's only got a couple of songs out, but you could see the potential. And you knew that if you got this guy in the studio, locked it down, and you gave him, you know, 12 songs, you gave him a budget, you gave him all of this. And he wasn't a flashy guy. I mean, you know, at least by his appearance, he wasn't somebody that had a whole bunch of gold chains or platinum at that particular time.
Nation of Islam member.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So he wasn't even coming at you on that vibe, but he was spitting stuff that make you stop and literally listen to every word that he said. And you was hanging on and trying to figure out what it was he was saying and what was going to be the next line. And he was dope. And I mean, like you said, a supreme lyricist. And really, if we're being honest, by that time in the 2000s, rap was moving away from lyricism, but to have somebody come like that, Jay Electronica was a breath of fresh air.
And he was a Southern guy. That was a thing. I think of a lot of it that really, at least for us hip hop heads, that was a thing of like the dude from New Orleans.
Right.
And he's spitting.
Because at that point in time, you got Cash Money. You got
and it's so crazy. So guess who won the best rap solo performance that year for 2009?
2009. It wasn't Juvie, was it?
No.
What if DLC never got into that car accident? What if Ice Cube didn't leave NWA? What if The Game never leaves G Unit? What if Teddy Riley never moves to Virginia? What if we got that J. Cole and Kendrick album? What if the RZA would have never had that flood? How would the hip hop world sound today? Welcome to Hip Hop What Ifs, the podcast where we dive into the biggest what could have beens in hip hop history. From iconic album delays to game-changing partnerships that never happened. We reimagine the culture we love and explore its alternative paths. And you are now at Hip Hop What Ifs.